downtown Tampa Bay. You're listening to the Pewtercast.
Welcome to the Pewtercast. I am Brent Allen, your host, joined as always by my good friend Ren Daxt. Ren, another week is over. We got a game to play this weekend. It's time to dig into the news and all that fun stuff that's happened with our beloved Buccaneers this week. And there's been a lot.
I feel like that intro was like the third Lord of the Rings movie where I thought it was over like 3 different times.
Sometimes the pauses are to give you a chance to jump in and then you don't. So then I keep going. And I'm waiting on you to say. Oh. Anyway, yeah, we got a full show. What's your phrase you've been using this year? We got a full can. The can is full.
A full lid.
The full lid. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we got a full lid.
But that's when it's over. Like at the end of the pod would be like, we've given all the news. It's a full lid. The lid's tightly on. It's fully closed.
Interesting. That's such a weird phrase to me.
Sure.
Well, yeah, guys. Hey, listen, for those of you who are new to the show, maybe you're just checking us out for the first time, this is our Buck in the News show. This is the show where basically we haven't talked about any of the news or gossip, not even gossip, but just the news or things that are going around with the team at all this week. So this is our chance to sit down. The work week is done. All the practices have been practiced. The injury reports are out. The news headlines are pretty much done for the week. The things that started in the beginning of the week have now come full cycle. And today, actually, this show will show exactly why we choose to wait till the end of the week to allow all of those things to circulate out before we do this show, because otherwise it's do you hear that news? Oh, well, what's that going to mean? You spend 30 minutes talking about what it means. And then the next day it's like, actually, we're okay. It's not going to be a big deal. And this show has some really good examples of that this week. And we'll talk about the roster moves. We'll talk about those headlines. We'll talk about the injury report, the final injury report as we look towards this game this weekend. We'll talk about things we're looking forward to, and we'll close out the show with our predictive MVPs. I would also like to give a quick hello and shout out to everyone who is joining us live on Twitter, Facebook, Periscope, thepewtercast.live, and of course our home at youtube.com. I'm really trying to see if I can't go longer because I want Ren to fall out of his chair. For those of you listening to the podcast, the more I talk, the more Ren is leaning over in his chair like he's my 5-year-old falling asleep in the back seat of my car.
I was slowly drifting out of frame. That's what I was doing.
Oh, so anyway. Well, that's my spiel. I'm done. That's the intro right there. So, Ren.
Yes.
We got a lot to talk about, buddy.
We do. I'm very excited.
Are you?
Yes.
What are you excited for?
Sunday.
Oh, for the game.
Yeah.
Why are you excited for Sunday for the game?
Because Cheryl's in North Carolina and I'm bored.
Oh.
I have a hard time filling my days.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't leave me a honey-do list.
Dude, just go remove a bush or something.
I'm done with that.
Get another one. Do a neighbors for them.
Look, I'm kind of done with stumping for a while. I took out 11 stumps by hand. Like no grinder, like no chainsaw, just like a hatchet and a shovel.
What did you not like? Well, no, actually you don't have. Yeah. I was going to say, cause like what I would do is I'd grab a chain, I'd wrap it around the stump. I'd put it on the hitch of my truck and I'd just drive. I'd literally drive the thing out of the ground.
Sure.
But you can't do that with your car.
No, we'd probably take the bumper right off.
You have the tiny cars.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a pregnant roller skate.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah.
Like, I don't think you could fit in that car.
No.
Yeah.
No, there's a reason why when we go places together, I'm like, all right, hop in. I'm driving.
Yeah, I'm driving. What, you don't want to sit in the hatchback front?
Yeah, no joke. My aunt used to drive an MR2. And when I was in high school, she and I worked at Walt Disney World together, and she had to give me a ride home one day. And I don't know if you know what an MR2 is. It's a Toyota MR2, Mazda MR2, one of those two. Anyway, it's a tiny, tiny car, but it was
It's a two-seater, isn't it?
It's a two-seater, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, typically, when I get into a car that is too small, the easy solution is you just put the seat down.
Right.
And you just sit back, right? Like that's the easy solution. Well, this was a two-seater, so the seat went
yeah, there's nothing
to put it back down. So I'm literally driving home down I-4, going from Disney to Orlando, which is where I was living at the time. With my neck was like, here's the roof of the car, and my neck is above the roof. And I'm catching bugs to the face, like it was love bug season. Oh, yeah. 16 years old, buddy. That's
man, I really need a video of that.
This was before cell phones had video. This was before everybody had a cell phone too. Oh, God, I'm old. Oh, that makes me so sad. Anyway,
cell phones only been around like 10 years.
I know, right?
Dude, smartphones.
But yeah, one of my favorite things that we did was a bunch of years ago with I feel like we mention this guy every time. With Derek Old Score Fournier, he was like, I'm older than dirt, whatever. And we just started like going through like all the things that Derek's been podcasting longer than has been in existence.
Right.
And it was like Twitter, Google, iPhones. So anyway.
Carbon.
Right. He is still hydrogen. Anyway, Buck in the news. Why don't we talk about some Buck in the news?
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Game. You are. I've heard you might be excited for this game. Roster moves. Let's talk about the roster moves. Lots of stuff happened this week. Something we didn't get to talk about on last week's show because this happened really afterwards. The Buccaneers elevated cornerback Herb Miller from the practice squad. I think I remember us covering him when they brought him onto the team a bunch of weeks ago. Yeah. I don't know that he played a single snap during the game against the Vikings, but they did elevate him. Jamel Dean was out with that concussion. And so he reverted back to the practice squad on Monday because they don't have to go through waivers to do that this year. But the big news, I think, that really affected everything on the roster moves was the Buccaneers had to place Bradley Pinion, Ryan Suckup, and Zach Trenier, the entire group of special team specialists.
Zach Trenier, who's that?
Trenner? I don't. How do you say his name?
I don't know. I really don't know. But I've never heard you say Trenier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you've called him Triner. Before.
You know what it is? You know what it is? There's a Star Trek actor named Connor Trenier.
Okay.
He plays Trip on Enterprise, and that's probably why it's in my head that way right now. But it Zach Triner. Triner is probably how it would be how you would pronounce it the way it's spelled. Anyway, Zach Triner. They're all on the COVID list.
Yes.
At least they were. Because that was like earlier this week. Now, did they? I didn't see anything that said why. It wasn't that they all tested positive. It was an exposure.
No, one of them tested positive. So
they did.
So since so they just like sent the whole room home because of, what do they call it? Contact tracing, close contact.
Right.
But the positive ended up being a false positive. Oh. So since it was a false positive, everyone just all came back.
Okay.
So. Well, cool. Yes, so Carl Joseph will not be kicking for us.
Greg Joseph.
Carl Joseph was a receiver for the Buccaneers in the 90s.
Oh.
Greg Joseph, yes. So Greg Joseph will not be kicking. Back to the practice squad, we would be protected for a few more games.
Mm-hmm. Well, except he has already been elevated to the active roster this week. So so that's a big thing, is they have elevated because of this. Greg Joseph, the kicker, and we'll talk about it in just a moment. They also elevated guard Ted Larson from the practice squad. So they're going to be active for this game, or at least they're going to be on the 53-man roster. Now they could be inactive, or Greg Joseph could be inactive and, not take up one of those spots, but he's going to, it says that they were elevated. So I guess like both of these guys are veterans, so they wouldn't clear a waiver wire anyway if they got released after the game. Like, but I guess they can do this where they bounce. What are the rules about bouncing people up and down off the practice squad each week? I don't remember what that is. Do you know?
You can put a player down without passing him through waivers or becoming a free agent twice, but you can't do it in consecutive weeks.
And and you could do it to like 2 players, and one of them had to be an offensive lineman.
Yes,
or something like that. Greg Allman detailed all this out for us way back during preseason. So yeah, that's what it was. So this fits that whole mold, and I don't think either one of I know for a fact neither one of these 2 people have been elevated before. So yeah, they'll be able just to go back down on Monday,
or they can just put them on the COVID list,
or they could. And I wanted to ask you about that. Because, so finish up. As you mentioned, the 3 guys cleared protocol. They'll be back. So crisis averted.
Mm-hmm.
But this whole week has been a lot, like, because it came out on like Tuesday when they got placed on the COVID list. This whole week, everyone's like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And, well, it turns out it doesn't matter because they're fine. Again, why we do the show on Friday instead of Tuesday and Wednesday and those days.
Yes. Anyway, I remember.
Now, the Buccaneers have also placed Ronald Jones on the COVID-19 list as well.
Yeah.
And I don't – is there any news as to if this is a positive test for him or if it's just an exposure? Do we know?
We do not know. Plus, they can't tell us.
Oh, okay.
Like, you go
then why do we know about the other one?
Because it's over. Because the reason I don't know if they had to tell the reason why they're back so early. You know, but when you go on the COVID list, you can't tell them that it's an exposure or it's a close contact.
Sure. That's called HIPAA, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but if it doesn't come back a false positive, I think Ronald Jones and Donovan Smith, even if they, which of course you'll get to in a second, even if they test negative, they don't have enough days to be able to make it back on the team. So they're both going to be out.
Right.
For Sunday's game.
Right. And I was getting ready to get to Donovan because he also got placed on the COVID list this week.
Yeah.
Now they have already said Donovan will not play on Sunday.
Right.
Now I have not seen them say that definitively about Rojo yet. Here's the other thing with Rojo, and this is why I want to dive into this. This is kind of crossing over into our headlines just a little bit. One of the first major headlines that came out after the game from the Vikings was Rojo broke a finger during that game last week.
He did.
A little pinky, but still, it's a finger and it hurts when it gets broken. And he wound up having surgery, I think it was on Tuesday, to put the pin in, much like what they did with Chris Godwin and his finger when he broke that earlier this year in the Raiders game. So the question mark is can Rojo, they put this in, he has this deal. When Godwin had this surgery, he was out for 1 week and then he came back and he just played with his fingers taped up.
Mm-hmm.
The question was, could Rojo go this weekend one way or the other, even if he just had those pins put in, or would he have to take a week out? They never talked about that, but now all of a sudden Rojo comes down but he gets placed on the COVID list.
Are you spelling conspiracy?
I'm saying conspiracy. I'm saying
why
they wanted to clear a spot to bring somebody else up, but they couldn't do it. So there's like, hey,
so they didn't put up. I see what you're saying. Okay.
You were around your neighbor this week. You had COVID, right? Right. Okay.
All right. So I got you. So they put the pin in, and he's gonna miss the week no matter what.
Right.
So, but they need the spot because they've just brought up a kicker and a guard,
and they don't want to put him on the injured list because he'd have to be out for 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but he can clear COVID and come back like as early as Monday.
I like it. Good move.
Yeah. I'm just saying. Because if his neighbor had COVID, or one of the doctors or nurses had COVID, or somebody had they didn't have to have just an exposure. Just have an exposure.
He was around the specialist team.
There you go.
That came back in false positive.
Doesn't matter.
Whatever.
Yeah, we can't get his negative test back in time to call it good. So, I'm just saying it seems fishy to me. Now, far be it from me to place blame. Okay, no, actually, I absolutely would do that. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. If Rojo comes back off the COVID list, like as of Monday or Tuesday, it makes sense to me. The pieces
Sunday at 4:00. Or he's on the sidelines in civies,
right
in Atlanta.
Right. We just reverted Greg Joseph and Ted Larson to the practice squad, and Rojo's off the COVID list. I'm just saying.
Surprise, surprise.
Listen, I asked this question, and I didn't ask it in a very good way, but I asked this question to Greg Allman way back on that show where he was telling us about all these funky rules they had this year for COVID. Was like, tell me there's like somebody in the office that like their only job is to like track where everybody is and like what you need to do to get the right number of players where they need to go. And he was like, yeah, that's Mike Greenberg and director of player personnel and all those guys. I went, oh, okay, fair enough. Cause that just like, that's a whole, like that adds a whole new dimension to me of what they can do and how they can move players around. So speaking,
I like it.
There you go. Thank you. I like it. I like it too. I like it too.
That's how I waited for the pause.
Yes. Yeah. They're saying somebody in the chat room saying a broken finger is a bigger problem for a running back because of so much contact. But the receiver has to catch bullet passes. See, I would think it'd be a bigger deal for the receiver who has to actually catch the ball. Whereas a running back just, they trap it and then run and they can kind of protect that finger and they don't have to throw it out there so much, although I guess because they're both getting tackled at some point usually. Anyway, I just the other thing, so speaking of that, while the special teams unit was all on COVID, they signed a new punter and a new long snapper, but they only put them on the practice squad.
Yes. And
the long snapper, we actually were familiar with him. Garrison Sanborn was our long snapper for I think 2 years here in Tampa a couple years ago.
Is it Sunborn?
No.
Okay.
Sunburn? No. Sanborn. And then
Sunbritches.
A punter, Dustin Colquitt. I've never heard of this guy before in my life. And thankfully I'll never have to hear of him again.
The Kicking Colquitts.
There you go.
There's two of them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. They were the warm-up act to the Flying Draysons.
Well, until tragedy struck.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Until tragedy struck. And
they just put out they just made a DC animated movie of not The Killing Joke, but Death in the Family.
Where that story?
Where Joker kills Jason Todd. Did you know that was fan voted on? No. Yeah, they DC, you had to mail in your response, but it was like, should Jason Todd live or die? And everyone's like, kill him.
I'm doing for those of you listening to the audio feed later, I'm doing the thumbs down, the what is that? Not the Guardian, the Gladiator. I'm doing the Gladiator. Yeah. Thumbs down. Kill him. Anyway, a lot of roster moves happening around the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but the big one to really talk about, the Ren, is, and this one I think will actually affect the team in a real way, Donovan Smith. Yeah. And for as much abuse as we've been giving Donovan Smith over the course of this year, honestly, Donovan's had a good string of games here lately. I think he has. Sure. As we have said since week one, when Donovan goes out, the drop off from Donovan to the next guy is huge. Yes, it's a problem. It is. And will this be the first game Donovan has missed in his career? I want to say maybe he missed one. I think he missed one start by like 10 snaps, and then he got back in. But regardless, this is not many. It's one of very few games that Donovan's ever missed. So, but he will be out. Oh, this will be only the second game he's ever missed, and he's in his 6th year. Yeah, which is really good. I mean, say what you will, that is honestly Donovan Smith's best quality. Yeah. And his smile. He's good on the radio. And he's good with this is going to sound really bad. He's good with children. Let's put it that way. Sure. I've watched him at fan events, and he's really, Donovan is, for as big as he is great with kids. Anyway. So yeah. So is it Haig or Wells? Who's
Wells?
Or
It's Wells.
is it Wells?
It's Wells.
Is it? Okay.
Yes, it's Wells.
We're not gonna do something weird where they bring in Ted Larson as the new center and then bump Jensen out to guard and then move Allie over to left tackle.
Allie's arms are too short. We say this every time.
No, I was just joking actually, because we're not moving Allie to left tackle.
It's Wells. Coach BA said it's Wells. It's Wells.
Oh God, just a joke. Just a joke.
You've asked me if it's Wells like 3 times.
It's a bit. Run with it. Anyway, okay, so that's what we got there, and then it'll be Fournette covering for Rojo. Is Rojo still up in the air? I haven't been able to see.
I think he's out. I haven't seen anything, but everyone's talking like it's a done deal.
Yeah, and that Fournette's ready to go, and they feel like very comfortable with Fournette, or they feel very fortunate to have him back there, or something like that. So
yeah.
Anyway,
some gobbledygook.
Yeah. One other news as far as Rojo goes for this week, and we'll move on. On the year, Rojo has 1,065 all-purpose yards.
Mm-hmm.
He only has 165 catching yards, which means he has 900 rushing yards. He's only 100 yards away from breaking that 1,000-yard rushing barrier this year.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very doable over 3 games. Even if he's out this game, and he likely will be, he's still got 2 more games. Very likely we could have ourselves a 1,000-yard rusher, Ren.
Sure.
Should be fun. So anyway, all right. So that's it as far as all of the roster moves that we have. Let's move on to headlines.
Let's do it.
There's quite a bit here. Some of these are more gushy, make you feel good kind of things, or somewhat perfunctory going through. Like this one, Levante David.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, Mike Evans gets nominated to the Walter Payton Man of the Year award by the team to represent the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This week, Levante David gets the nod from the team for the Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award.
Did Gerald McCoy ever get nominated for Walter Payton Man of the Year?
Once.
Only once?
In all of his years, he got nominated once. Yeah. And that was like his next to last year, I think, or maybe his last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just thinking. Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award. Okay. Congratulations.
I feel like I've heard about this award a handful of times, but I never remember this one.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really cares about it.
Yeah,
it's like nicest guy.
Right. Yeah.
You're the nicest guy. Great.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah, the Walter Payton Award, like that's like the league's highest honor as far as what you could get as an individual player.
Yes.
I have no idea what they feel about this particular award, but Levante got it. So congratulations, Levante.
Well, he's nominated.
He is not. Right. It's like the Walter Payton Man of the Year. Each team nominates one person, and then other people win. So congratulations, Levante, and we'll certainly vouch that you're a great guy.
How are we going to do that? Have you ever talked the thumbs up? Nice. He is.
No, but I've watched him. I've watched him for 3 hours a week for 16 games.
He is about the only player that, sort of thanked us for getting a Pewty.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
I was thinking about that the other day.
Yeah.
About that's kind of bull crap, man.
Yeah.
I mean, not even like on Instagram or nothing.
Yeah, a picture or just a return card or something. Did I ever tell you I got a call from
Munkin.
No, the other coach. Duffner?
Mark Duffner?
Yeah, Duffner. Yeah, after he had left the team and was in Cincinnati. He personally called me.
Oh, did he?
How he got my number, I'm not really sure. But he personally called me to say thank you. Yeah. So that was cool. Super cool. So I got to talk to him.
And then Cutter wrote you.
Cutter sent a card. Yep.
Yeah. Cutter sent a card.
Which was cool. But yeah, and then Levante snapped a picture and texted us the picture, which was cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. That's about it. But I will say this for the non-Buccaneer people, the Trevor Sycamas and the What the Bucs and the Locked On Bucs, David and James and those guys, they always proudly display and send pictures back. Princess Nikki, when she got hers, she sent us one. So anyway,
Cooks is on his mantle.
Cooks is on his mantle, and I still remember Mark Cook's face the day we presented that to him, and I remember Carmen Vitale's face where she was standing right there, just seething like.
Yeah, because they were against each other.
Right.
Was that like it was like Ash Wednesday, wasn't it?
It might have been.
Like everybody was walking around with ash crosses on their forehead.
Yeah.
Cook was genuinely happy.
Yeah, he really was.
Yeah, he really was.
Yeah.
And Carmen was genuinely mad.
Right. I think that was the year that Pewter Report won 3 awards or something like that. So anyway, let's see here. What do we got? Let's do 2 more feel good stories and then we'll move on to some of the other ones. Ndamukong Suh and his wife announced this week that they are expecting twins.
Yes.
Due in March. So congratulations to the Suh family. Greg Allman and John Ledyard. Greg Allman was on the Pewter Report podcast this week. John Ledyard, and they kind of got into this discussion, which actually, this thing factored into, and I thought they just made a really good point that I felt it bore worth repeating.
I'm going to defunct this point right off the bat.
Go ahead, let me say it, and then you can do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, their point being, they were talking about bringing, who's coming back next year and who's not, and various things like that. And the point they kind of made is with Suh, he's going to be deciding probably around somewhere February, March, something like that, whether or not he wants to play again. Could he retire? Any of those kinds of things. And could he possibly re-sign here with the Bucs, or would he go somewhere else? And their family lives here in Tampa. And, having brand new twins, you don't want to move and relocate, and you don't want to be that far away from your family. So that bodes well. That's not a definite, but it bodes well for the possibility of Suh, if he decides to play again, wanting to be in Tampa, and possibly even maybe they were saying under the context of even taking less money so that he wouldn't have to move. Which I don't, that's not a factor to me, but I know I can tell you, when you have a kid and you have all that kind of stuff going on, the last thing you really want to do is be moving, and you definitely don't want to be away. I also can tell you that if the Buccaneers do really, really well, you want to get it, because he's going to have paternity leave before football gets going again. So yeah, I don't know. All right, you said you wanted to debunk it. Debunk it. Go ahead, Ren. Debunk away.
Yeah, Ndamukong Suh might be the most adult person that I know about. Yeah. The way he handles his business and everything. And Donovan Smith has enough money to be able to make the move flawlessly. He can have a nanny. It's they talk about not being there. Like he doesn't have to go pick the house. He can do it all online. He could go do it, and his wife could, look at the pictures. And I think they also
you pay people to come in and pack your stuff, move it, and unpack it.
Yeah, all you have to do is travel.
Yeah,
that's all you have to do. And he could rent a limousine to drive them if they don't want to drive with infants. Literally, right. They could ride in or a Winnebago. We're riding a Winnebago, and someone will drive it for us. And it would be the most stress-free move ever. But they also, Greg and John, talked about how Ndamukong might not even want to play because he's starting his family. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. When your babies are infants, when they're numbered in months, you want to get out of the house. It's just, sorry, babe, gotta go to work. You have 2 screaming infants going. They're not going to remember anything. So you're not stealing family time or anything. Everybody else in the whole entire world, when they have a baby, goes to work, after, the leave. So making these things, he'll stay because he won't have to move, or maybe he won't even play because he's starting a family, I think are just, you're making something out of absolutely nothing, especially with someone with that type of means, and someone who just he just takes care of business. He'll do what he has to do and do what he wants to do. And the kids are not going to come into a factor in it whatsoever.
Okay. How many kids do you have, Ren?
None.
I'm just, look, you make a very valid point that he has enough money that they can pay other people to take care of the details, and that moving is not out of the question. I can tell you now, and I know that I'm a different breed and not everybody's like me. I have for a long time been a big proponent of mothers get at least a year maternity leave, and fathers get at least 6 months of maternity leave to be home. And I get what you mean when you talk about, trust me, I get what you mean when you talk about kids are screaming, kids are crying, and all that kind of stuff. But all that changes when it's actually yours and you become a dad. And I don't know that I can explain it other than just to say that was absolutely my experience.
I'm not saying that you're trying to run away from your kids and like they're brats or anything. I'm just saying, like, look, I'm on social media. My friends have all had babies. Like it's on every TV show. It's on every sitcom. There's a point where you just want to go on Instagram and click on somebody who has kids. I guarantee you, once a week, it's going to be like, "Oh, get me out of here! Oh, where's wine?"
I get that, but you also find the people who have had to go back to work, who are like, I just feel guilty for leaving, and I should be home with my kids, and I don't want somebody else raising my kids, and I should be there. And you also have that side. So I'm just saying it's not so cut and dried. Again, not everybody is like me, but I know from my own experience. Yeah, I wouldn't want to go back to work, and I would want to be there. And yeah, and I don't want to move. I don't want to go through the process. I mean, I was very fortunate with our move to Florida. Penny's work moved us, and they did that. They came in and packed, and they moved. Now we had to unpack, but we chose to do it that way.
We moved. My family moved, and my brother was like my granddad just held him in his arms from St. Pete from Orlando to St. Pete.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why? Because we had to. You don't make $1 million decisions because it's going to be a pain for 8 hours with the infants. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Stack up.
Okay.
You moved. You did it.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I did.
Because you had to.
Because we had to, and it worked out. But I'm telling you, as somebody who has gone through that, it's not good. It's not a great time to move, and even if other people are doing it for you. When is a
great time to move? Flat tire. Always at the worst time.
There are times.
When's a great time to have a flat tire?
Yeah.
When's a great time to lose your car keys?
Yeah, we are way off track for a Buccaneers podcast.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you're talking about stuff that you have no idea what you're talking about right now. You don't. You just don't. And you make a really good point that he has money for all other stuff to happen. These are $1 million decisions. He's also made a crap ton of money, and if it's time for him to walk away, those are all good reasons. And it could, I'm just saying it could, and I thought they made a good point. It could factor in to him deciding to stay in Tampa should he decide to play for another year. Other good news. Mike Evans hosts his annual, the word is annual, Catch for Christmas event this year.
What is that event?
I've literally never heard of this event before in my life, especially for an event that is annual. Now, it didn't say first annual. It didn't say first annual. It said annual. I'm just saying.
Oh, he's back.
You and I have covered this team pretty well for the last bunch of years.
Uh-huh.
Typically, when a marquee player holds an annual event around a holiday, we hear about it every year. Gerald McCoy had his Christmas thing every year. Turkey time with the O-line. Jameis had something, I think, just about every year. This is the first time I'm hearing that about with Mike. But here's what they do. So this went out to families in the Tampa Bay area. Each family received about $2,000 in gift cards split between Publix and Target. And they were delivered this year by Captain Fear, and it looked like maybe a Bucs cheerleader or two. And they had an iPad with a message from Mike and Ashley, Mike's wife, which at first I was like, really? Mike didn't go deliver them himself? And then I'm like, yeah, Mike can't risk an exposure to COVID. So it made, all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like in a normal year, I would hope Mike would be part of the delivery process of that. But this year it was on an iPad and totally get that. And it looked like it also included some other gifts for the kids and a couple of jerseys and different things like that. So it looked like a pretty cool event. like I said, it's the first time it's ever been on my radar.
I remember Mike has brought kids into one Buc quite a few times, and like I think last year he gave everyone PS4s. They could bring in like 10 or 15 people, like kids, at-risk kids. I know he's done that a few times, but I don't know if it was, what is it called? Catch a Killer?
Catch for Christmas?
Catch for Christmas. Yes.
Yes. No, it was Hunt a Killer, and this is Catch for Christmas.
Yes. Yes. So, so I remember him doing it a few times. But again, like I don't know if it was Catch for Christmas or that was just Mike being Mike. But so they did it virtually this year, but it was nice to get it done and do it. Something something I don't know about, so I can't really comment on it. I've never given people.
You've never been nice.
Never given people, thousands of dollars in gift cards with a virtual greeting at their door, so I probably can't comment on that.
And you call yourself a human being, Ren?
Just apparently, if you can't have opinions on stuff, if you haven't experienced it.
Oh, you can have an opinion, but you could be wrong in it. So
sure.
Anyway,
right? Because you're exactly like Sue.
Yeah, exactly like it. All right, moving on.
Okay.
Bruce Arians. This should fall into the headline that shouldn't be a headline category.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Arians says yet again that the decision to not call plays was health related. This was something that Rick Stroud reminds everybody was widely reported when he was hired.
Right.
The Glazers were taken aback, but they did agree to it.
Yeah.
This has been known since day one. And yes, it's been health related, and that has not changed. Why is this still a headline? I don't why are we still asking these questions of Bruce Arians?
I don't know. Who asked it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Rick Stroud wrote about it was enough that Stroud wrote about it and posted an article on the whole thing of saying somebody asked him just to confirm it in one of the press conferences. So I don't know who asked the question.
Yeah, I think every time BA talks about his health, somebody will write about it. It'll be written about because what was it? He'd never finished a season as a head coach without one trip to the hospital. And then he retired because it was affecting his health too much. So I get it, but yeah, I'm with you. I mean, but again, I don't really have those kind of health problems, so I don't know if I should comment on it.
Fair enough. Well, let's move on to other things that BA said during his press conference. BA also said this week, and I'm quoting, they don't plan on Shaq going anywhere. So, obviously talking about Shaquille Barrett, who's playing under the franchise tag this year. He'll be a free agent this year. My question to you is how do you take this? When you hear BA now in week 15, couple of games to go, sounds a little bit like what he said last year when they were talking about Shaq. He's like, yeah, he ain't getting anywhere. He ain't going anywhere.
Right.
Do you take this in that same vein of he ain't going anywhere? Or is this the sort of the coaches speak? Well, we don't plan on him going anywhere. We plan on him being around next year. And it could go either way, 50-50. How do you take this with BA talking?
I believe him. But because he can always franchise tag him. But then you've also got Godwin out there who also needs sort of a big long-term contract. Those two seem to be the guys that are probably going to be the biggest problem if you have limited cap space. But you can franchise one of them. So, maybe the talks with Chris are at a good spot and they're close enough where he feels that he'll be able to sign a deal without doing the franchise tag. And so if things fall through with Shaq and Drew Rosenhaus, he can franchise tag it. Or you can just take it as like, we don't want him to go anywhere and he's not going to go anywhere. And we're going to, be fair with him and give it to him. Plus you got to remember Shaq last year, was coming out and saying things like hometown discount, like, I'll take less money. And then Drew Rosenhaus got a hold of him. And next day he's like, well, I'm not gonna go for free, It's like,
right.
But so, I mean, yeah, I believe him. I think, let me put it this way. I think that after Chris Godwin, I think Shaq is probably the next person that they like, if they have their list, like name a list of people that we want to sign back. And then you have the list. Number one's Godwin. Number two, Shaq Barrett.
Number three?
David, maybe? Sue?
David, yeah.
Sue? Golston?
No, Golston.
No, David would be yeah, you're right. Golston under contract. So is JPP, actually. I've been saying like all year he's not. Probably be David. Rojo's still got a year. The backfield, the receivers.
Fournette's gone. McCoy's gone. They may not come back, but I doubt it. Antonio Brown's going to be gone.
The entire secondary is still under contract.
Yeah. Cam Brate's still under contract. OJ Howard's already had his 5th-year option picked up.
Jensen, Donovan, Kappa, Wirfs, obviously.
Is this Vita? No, Vita's got one more year before he's.
Yeah,
he'll pick up his option, and he's got one more year.
Yeah, so
next year. So, yeah, that order. You think that's the order? You think it's Godwin, Barrett, and then David?
Yeah, that'd be my order.
I don't know. I don't think I disagree. Yeah. All right. 2 more things real quick. PFF has their own Pro Bowl team that they've selected, and they put 2 Buccaneers on that. Brady and Marpet have been named to the PFF Pro Bowl team.
So they scrolled down far enough and got past Kappa.
Right. It's the other alley. It's the other alley.
The other alley. The other guard, everybody.
Right. So they're out. So good for them. And I didn't look at what the team was or who all they had on the team, but it feels like there probably could have been another Buccaneer or 2 on that team. So has the AP all pro team come out yet?
No,
that comes out
probably around the Super Bowl. I would think. I mean, you can't vote on it until after the season, but you gotta kind of have to because it's a player voted thing. So if you wait till after the season, there's only going to be 14 teams. There's another. How many is that? 22. Yeah, 22 teams that are gonna. That's not right. That's 36. Anyway, 18 teams. But you got to go find all those guys and make sure they send it in. But if you send it to, Buccaneer, one Buccaneer place and then stick it in their locker and have them fill it out and somebody collect it. So I would guess the voting's probably starting around now for Pro Bowl, but won't be announced till probably somewhere around the Super Bowl.
All right. And then final thing, the official headline that shouldn't have been a headline this week, right? I feel like I should have like a musical intro for this particular segment. Newsflash: Tom Brady doesn't like the cold weather. Oh my.
Yeah, so he's like everybody else.
Right. That moves to Florida. We're like, hey, this is really nice. Look at all you jackholes up there living in the snow. You're never going to catch me dead living up there again. And then everybody in Boston's like, Tommy, how could you betray us, Tommy? You're not one of us anymore. Tommy.
Yeah, I've never lived in the cold, so again,
because
my opinion really doesn't, can't stand. I mean, I have no weight.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go. Maybe you have weight again in about 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks. All right, moving on. Injury report. Hey, good news. Buccaneers don't have anybody out for this week. At least not anybody listed on the injury report. Now, we know that Donovan Smith is going to be out. That's already been declared. We don't know about Rojo. That has not been declared. Jamel Dean is somebody who was out last week. It was out 2 weeks ago with concussion protocol. Last week with a groin injury. Has been limited and then was full participation on Thursday and Friday with that groin injury. But yet he has still been said that he is a game time decision.
Right.
So I don't know. Could we see?
I've never had a groin injury, but BA said that he's going to be a game.
Hey, have you ever had a horse that was dead and you continued to beat it?
I have.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yes, you have. I know.
many times.
Yeah.
BA says it'll be a game time decision. I kind of think he's going to go. If you're full participation on Thursday, you're probably going to go.
Right.
But who knows how long? And it's Atlanta, and you're thinking about the playoffs, and there's no Julio Jones. Like, you could just kind of like double Ridley and put Davis on like their third best receiver, the other receiver, and just play like you did against Minnesota because they don't have Dalvin Cook, you know? So like, if you're kind of iffy about Dean and really we really need him for, later on, because we're like 97% we're going to make the playoffs, then I can see it. Because, like I said, I think the Bucs defense matches up really well against what Atlanta does, without Julio Jones, I should say. Yeah, so we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised either way, to be honest. Like, if I think he'll be well enough to play, but if he doesn't, I'll be like, okay, that makes sense.
It's not something to, why push that one, right?
Exactly.
Not a week to push it. Yeah. All right. So we have that now. Flipping over, I will just note this as far as the injury report goes. Everyone who is listed on the injury report was a full participation by Friday, except for JPP and Ndamukong Suh, who were taking Veterans Days off.
Yeah, they always go.
So yeah, and those two guys are going to go, and those guys always have Veterans Days, so every single week. Now the Atlanta Falcons, on the other hand, not so much. They have 5 names. Is that right? 4. They have 4 names listed as out. A couple are listed as questionable, but of the out ones, Marlon Davidson, Darqueze Dennard, whoever those two guys are, but Ricardo Allen and Julio Jones are both out for this game against the Buccaneers. Yeah, against us. Julio Jones, of course, we all know who he is, and then Ricardo Allen. I didn't realize he's apparently a defensive captain this year for the Falcons. He will be out. So good news for Buccaneers fans, I guess.
Yeah, I told everyone before the Minnesota game that I think this is the hard game. But the Falcons have sort of come off their shine after Raheem Morris took over and the defense greatly improved. And, I shouldn't say greatly improved, but was not historically terrible. They won a few games and things like that. But the past couple of weeks, they've kind of gone back to being the Falcons. Like Matt Ryan's starting to turn the ball over when put it this way. The difference between having Julio Jones on the field and not having Julio Jones on the field is night and day. Kind of like what we saw when Chris Godwin was off. Remember that?
Sure.
We were like,
Godwin makes this team go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Chris Godwin's injured. Without Julio Jones, they can't run the ball. Gurley's washed. He was washed before they signed him. He was washed a year before they signed him. I don't fear Ito Smith or Brian Hill. So like 20 points out of the Falcons, like that's that's sort of kind of like where I'm looking at, like 24 points, like tops, unless they get defensive turnovers or the Bucs turn over the ball and get a lot of short fields. But like having to drive the ball the whole distance of the field, I'm just like, they're not good enough to not make mistakes and sort of shoot themselves in the foot. And also, if you just play cover 2 and just if you take Ridley out of the game, it's like, okay, then you gotta really hope your running game works and that their tight ends, are gonna have to like carry them down the field. And it's not Gronk and the Patriots, man. Like no team can win a game, or I've ever seen win a game that the tight end's the guy, Like tight end's the guy that's going to touch the ball 3 to 4 times every drive and keep on moving the chains. I just don't. I mean, sure, they might get 7-8 catches for 80 yards, but that's like 8 yards a catch. Right. That's not flipping the field on one play, which is what big time receivers do.
Let me ask you this. I haven't watched a whole lot of Falcons this year. I got a feeling I know the answer to this. So last week, our run defense let Dalvin Cook have a day. It's one of the very few times anyone has gone over 100 yards.
102 yards. Okay.
Yeah. It's one of the very few times that anyone's gone over 100 yards against this Tampa Bay Buccaneers run defense in the last couple of years, even without Vita Vea.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley is going to do anything this week?
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
You say you think this was the hard game.
Yeah.
this game being the one that's away in Atlanta, or is it just one of the two Atlanta games, either the one at home or the one away?
Yeah, like I said a couple of weeks ago, it's because it's away. It's like the Bucs really don't play that well, but
Yeah.
and at the time Atlanta was hot. Like they were like putting up points. They were
Mhm.
giving up points, but they're putting up points. So like, the Bucs, no one can cover Julio Jones, and the Bucs have proven this year that like the tier, like good receivers, they
Mhm.
can do okay against if they get help.
Right.
But like Julio Jones has historically just eaten us alive, man.
Right.
Like, if they wanted to throw to him, but he's out. And not only is he out, like but when you watch the Falcons without Julio Jones, it's just a different team. And it's a different team that can't score, and it's a different team that can't sustain drives, and it's a different team, that Matt Ryan is now getting rid of the ball quicker because there's more pressure and it's turning into interceptions and incompletions. It's just like without Julio Jones, they're a 500 team at best, and then you add in that their defense is one of the worst against the pass in the league. This is a great week for Ronald Jones to be injured, like not play. Like I would make it a Keyshawn Vaughn game. Keyshawn Vaughn and Shady McCoy, see what they got. And I wouldn't run the ball more than like 12, 13 times all game. Like, it's like the 03, not the 03 Bucs, the Shiano Bucs. We're like, oh, they were third in run defense. Well, it's because no one ran the ball. Because like teams were completing like 82% passes on them.
Right.
And that's what I would do with I would just like what the Rams did to us. Like just keep throwing the ball because they cannot cover our guys. They can't do it. And if Brady, starts out, I don't want to say, he doesn't have to start out hot, but like he can't miss a lot. But again, I don't think Atlanta has sort of like the talent to be able to eat up 8 minutes off the clock and only get one possession in the first quarter. Like this should just be, a nice sort of relaxed game for the fans. And halfway through the fourth quarter, you look up and the Bucs are up 16 points. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
the game should be sealed by third quarter. Is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, like the Falcons are going to punt a lot. We're not going to score every drive, but like it's going to seem like we're always up. Like the Falcons are always going to have to be going like 85 yards. And if we take care of the ball, like just rock steady Eddie. Just do what you do, keep the pressure on, and at the end of the game, they're just like they don't have the talent, they don't have the horses to keep up.
There you go. Well, to wrap this particular section up, and as we look at that, Julio Jones, just for the record, we play Atlanta in 2 more weeks after this. Julio Jones with a hamstring injury. He's their star wide receiver. The Atlanta Falcons after this week are going to be eliminated from playoff contention.
Yes.
Provided they lose. They'll be eliminated. Now he was out. He got the injury, I think 2 weeks ago. He was out last week with the injury. He's out this week with the injury. We know these hamstring injuries can go several weeks.
I've seen him come in and out of games like multiple times this year, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like he hurt his groin and he'll be out for 2 series and he'll come in and get a catch and play like 3 plays and then go back to the sidelines and then be gone for a quarter and a half and then come back in, make a catch. Nope, still hurts. Go back out.
So I think it'll be interesting to see if Jones is even going to be back by week 16 or week 17, actually, for the final game of the season.
Oh, they should just shut him down as soon as as soon as they're officially, like they should shut him down. But I don't know if Raheem will because he's trying to win as many games as he can because he's coaching for a job.
He wants a job, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, and by the way, so does Cutter and all those other guys up there, that if there's a major change, a lot of that may change as well. So that'll be interesting to see what happens here over the next couple of weeks. All right, Ren. Well, with that, that's going to lead us here to the end part of the show. What are you looking forward to? What are you watching in this game against the Falcons besides having it sealed up by the third quarter?
Yeah. I want to see what they do with Calvin Ridley. Like, don't be stupid and don't be cute. Don't be like, oh, we can like guard Calvin Ridley 1-on-1. We'll just, we'll play single high and do this zone and we'll try to get home with 4. Like, don't just double Calvin Ridley. Just do it. and you win the game. Like, end of story. But, I just want to see a smart game plan. I want to see Keyshawn Vaughn get the ball a lot, or at least most of the runs, and Shady and, kind of screw Leonard Fournette. But I don't think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to try to kiss Leonard Fournette's butt here for a little bit because, Ronald Jones is hurt. And if you do need him for the playoffs, you really don't want him pissed or angry, that type of deal. He says he's more mature, but I'm not really buying it. And just throw the ball a lot. Don't take any more than like 3 or 4 deep shots. Try some crossing routes, some over routes. Use your tight ends. Use your screens. Just play a nice, solid game, man. Just come out nice and relaxed. Like, don't worry about it. Like, everything's gonna be fine. So that's what I'm looking for. It's like Calvin really not to have a good game. If Calvin really doesn't have a good game, like it's almost an automatic win because they can't run the ball. They just can't.
Right. I think a couple of things that I'm looking for in this game is I want to see what's going to happen without Donovan Smith.
Rob Gronkowski and Joe Haig will both be over there.
I was going to say, I know it's Josh Wells, but we could probably see a lot of Haig and Gronk lining up there as well.
Yeah.
But I do want to see. I want to see that. I'm with you. I want to see more. I guess connection. No, sorry, I was thinking more connection between Brady and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I think we've long dispelled the myth that Brady's arm is shot going into this, but I do think that there might be some accuracy issues. And if it's not accuracy issues, it's just them not being on the same page of who's supposed to be where and when.
Yeah.
So this would be a good game to work out some of those kinks. And I would like to see more of that.
This could be a Mike Evans game. Like, we've talked about Mike Evans.
Get him that 1,000 yards, baby.
Yeah, big game. But we've only seen him really feed him twice.
Yeah.
And it was against the Panthers both times. So obviously that was the game plan. The game plan was to go to Mike, and it paid off and it worked and they got it right.
Right.
This could be another, we're gonna go to Mike. Like he's the read. If it's not an obvious double, and even if it is an obvious double, they might rotate out of it. So make Mike your first look every time. And it could be a nice game for Mike, which would be good to make a lot of people happy because he's got to average 100 yards a game now.
He's about 300. He's 331 yards away from hitting 1,000.
110.
So, yeah. He needs a big bump. Let me ask you this as that goes. So we talked a little bit about this Falcons game. We've briefly mentioned the one that's coming up in 2 weeks after this one, but that Lions game that's sitting in between.
Yeah.
Also an away game, gonna be in cold weather.
Bro.
Oh, fair enough. Never mind. All of that fully retracted. You talked about just being away. Like the part that concerned you was just the idea that they were away. And I was like, oh, but they're going to Detroit. And fair enough. All right. Fully retracted. All right, Ren. Well, with that, predictive MVPs, our homage to What the Buck, the godfather of Buccaneers podcasting. Who do you got as MVP for this game?
I'm going to go Mike Evans.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Or Keyshawn Vaughn.
That's who I thought you were going to go with. I really did. That's who I thought you were going to go with.
Feeling extra ornery. Still kind of pissed. I'm going Keyshawn Vaughn.
I'm going to say it's Leonard Fournette this week. Just because. No, actually, no, I'm very much joking. I think, I'm going with Shaq Barrett this week. I think Shaq has been having a bunch of weeks rolling. And I think Shaq's definitely looking to keep that up. Shaq definitely knows he's playing for a paycheck right now. And, they talked about earlier this week, he hasn't been getting home, but he's second in the league in pressures, which, okay, cool.
And he started getting home as soon as they flipped him back to the other side.
Yeah.
As soon as they flipped him back to the other side, he started getting home again. And JPP is still, doing JPP stuff. It looks like JPP can get home from either side. And I know that they both say, this is my favorite side. Well, that's great. chocolate's my favorite ice cream, but I need an EpiPen. Like, sorry, like, it's just not working out. Like, play the other side. Yeah, I think Shaq would like to end with like somewhere like 12 sacks. He's like at 8 now, so if he gets 4 in the next 3 games, which is totally doable, especially against these offensive lines coming up.
He definitely wants to at least hit double digits.
Oh yeah, I think that's kind of in the bag. If they keep him on the side, if he plays enough snaps on the right hand side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right hand side. Defensive right hand side.
Right. All right, Ren. Well, that's it, man. That's our show. Talking about all the Buck in the news. We'll be back here, guys. Listen, make sure you guys come back and join us Sunday night, Sunday afternoon. This is a 1 o'clock game this week, I believe. 1 o'clock game. So who knows? Are we going to end before 4 o'clock this week, you think, Ren, just like we did last week? Because that was kind of nice. I'll be honest with you.
What, having the game over before 4?
Yeah.
I've noticed that too. Like, having all these primetime games and stuff, and it just makes the week so much longer. There's really some. It's like your internal clock has been clicked to like Sunday 1 o'clock.
That's our game time.
I watch the Bucs. 4 o'clock. I can start my day.
Well, like 4:30.
Yeah.
But last week we were done at 3:57.
Okay. I didn't
hit triple zeros.
Yeah, I was not that in tune with it. So, do you really want me to answer that if I think it's going to be over before 4 or not?
Not at this point, no.
Okay, good. Is that a bet? What happened to MyBookie? Are they not our sponsors anymore?
Right. They're saying MyBookie. No, they're not. No, they pulled out. Now our sponsor is BetterHelp. You guys go to betterhelp.com/overtime and get whatever deal that you heard on an ad earlier in this episode. I forget what it is off the top of my head. I think it's 10% off or something like that. People are asking, I thought Brent was leaving. Not till the end of the season, AJ. Not till the end of the season. I will be here through the Pewties.
Sorry to disappoint you, AJ.
Yeah, sorry to disappoint Red. Guys, we'll be back Sunday night. We'll be back Sunday night after the game. You guys make sure you come back and join us right here. It is the original Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan post call-in show. You will be talking about your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Atlanta Falcons. Ren, tell the folks where they can get in touch with you if they'd like to get a hold of you on the internet.
Best place to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football, but if your take is too hot or you just want to put it out there in the Twitter sphere, feel free to slide in my DMs and we can talk Buccaneers football. Or any dads out there that never went back to work after having a kid, we'll have a conversation.
You're almost getting that back. Well done, Ren. Well done.
Yeah. What do you mean
You're
almost?
back on the flow of that.
Almost.
You're getting there.
You're almost.
If you guys want to get in touch with me, you find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. And the show is at the Pewtercast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can email us to thepewtercast@gmail.com. Please keep in mind anything you send us we could use on a future episode of the Pewtercast. We'll talk to you guys on Sunday. And until then, go Bucs.
Flying none.